Hey guys, it's Mrs. Hooven
and Mrs. Dahl, and we're back to talk about the Foursquare method. We've spent a couple of lessons on the Foursquare, and we're ready to move on to make it Foursquare plus 3.
We're ready, and that 3 that we're adding today, as you can see right here, is our 3 more details. We're going to show you what we mean, but we're going to go back a step to look at the first one that we did. There we go. All right, so here's what we have done last time we met. We talked about my favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs, and then we gave 3 reasons. Why is our favorite meal spaghetti and meatballs? It's easy to cook, it's fun to eat, and it's delicious.
And then we had the wrap-up sentence. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's easy to cook, fun to eat, and delicious. And remember, when you're writing the wrap-up sentence, you're taking your center box first as your thesis statement or your claim, and then you're listing out the reasons that you're going to use to prove why you feel your statement is a true statement.
And we always go in order. We start with that thesis statement, box 1, and then we do box 2, box 3, box 4, and then on to our wrap-up.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's take a look at what this would look like, Mrs. Dahl, if we pulled it off the Foursquare. Okay?
Yep, if that's all, if we stopped there. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, let's stop there, pull it off, what we would have. Okay, here's the writing piece if we pulled it off the Foursquare.
Okay, so if I read it, pulling it off the Foursquare, it would read, my favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's easy. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's fun to eat. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's delicious. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's easy, fun to eat, and delicious. Well, Mrs. Hooven, did you notice what I noticed?
Well, I noticed it's a great start.
I think it's organized.
It's organized. It was all in order. It started with that, it ended with our wrap-up sentence, started with our thesis statement. All good, but I think it kind of was repetitive.
I agree. It was a little boring.
Yeah, it's boring because it didn't have very much detail either.
Agreed.
And it kept starting with my favorite meal is, and then nothing more than that, just one reason.
Right. It felt more like a list. Maybe.
Oh, it did.
It was all on topic, but
yes.
It was more of a list.
Yes, I agree. So we need some detail. We need to support each of our reasons with some detail. So when we do that, our Foursquare might look like this.
Okay, so we've got Foursquare plus 3, and that's where the 3 comes in. You can kind of see every box that we already had, or every square, we added 3 more details to go into it. And the way they kind of explain it is you're kind of making a Foursquare out of your Foursquare.
Yeah, so each one of these squares became its own Foursquare, right? So we gave 3 reasons why it's easy, or 3 details why it's easy, 3 details why it's fun to eat, 3 details why it's delicious. And we're not even sure exactly what all of these mean yet, but we're going to find out, okay? And then we still have the wrap-up sentence, and it's just as it was before, right?
Yep, it doesn't change. So as you're creating a Foursquare, you're starting to get all your ideas down in an organized fashion and making sure it's detailed. And so that's where the Foursquare plus 3 comes in.
Yeah, we're really trying to prove each one of our reasons. We're doing a good job of it so far. So let's look at what it would look like if we turned this into a piece of writing and we pulled it off the Foursquare.
All right. As I read it out loud, guys, why don't you take a look at the Foursquare up here and see how I'm constructing each of our sentences here. So I've got my favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's easy. You simply roll up the meat, then throw it in the pot and pour on the store-bought sauce. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's fun to eat. I like to twirl it on my fork. It is fun to slurp. I always splatter the sauce. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's delicious. I like the taste of tomatoes. The Italian spices are great. The meat is very filling. My favorite meal is spaghetti and meatballs because it's easy, fun to eat, and delicious.
Wow, that's really starting to look like a writing piece. And what I noticed is they turned each one of these boxes into a paragraph. Look at that. There's now how many different paragraphs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 for each of the boxes.
Yep.
So they really expanded on their thinking.
I like it. So really what it's going to lead to, as Mrs. Hooven was talking about, is our center box will eventually become our introduction. And then each of our 3 boxes, 2, 3, and 4, will be our body paragraphs. And then this wrap-up sentence will become our conclusion.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty awesome.
And one thing I noticed too is I didn't really understand, for example, in this paragraph why it said tomatoes, Italian spices, and filling meat. But then when I look down here and I look at the paragraph they created, They just said it's because it's delicious. I like the taste of tomatoes. The Italian spices are great. The meat is very filling.
Right.
So these were just ideas over here.
Yep.
And then they expanded on those ideas into sentences.
And I like that you said that because it's still not, it's less list-like than the first one that we read today.
Absolutely.
Because they take the details and, like you said, they turn it into more elaborate sentences. Like
Absolutely.
it said, you simply roll up the meat, not just, it's easy
roll up
because you
the
roll
meat.
up the meat.
Right.
So, we can get a little more creative and add our word choice in there,
Yeah,
too.
the word choice. That's exactly what I was thinking. The
I
word
like
choice
it.
is important.
Well, it's your turn, guys.
Yep, you guys have a chance now to do this for your homework. So take a look at the page that you would have brought with you. And this one is, you get some choice here. You get to choose what your favorite holiday is. So you can see that you're going to start off by filling in that very first box, box number 1, with what your favorite holiday is. You get to choose. And then you're going to write a reason. What's your reason for that favorite holiday? And what's the second reason? And then a third reason. And then you are going to expand. You're going to add the details. Why is this reason? How can you prove this reason?
And remember that, I don't know that we've pointed this out yet, but nothing on the square can be repeated.
Absolutely, yes. We need to have original ideas for each one and make sure that these details prove this reason.
Right.
Okay,
Definitely.
so you're going to try that. We're anxious to see what you come with, and then we want to take a look at it tomorrow when you come to class. So you're going to notice this evaluation right here.
Yeah, you could actually just check yourself because this is what we will use to help see if you're on track with this and give you a score. So you'll just take a look here and you'll probably be able to know what your score is before we're done.
Yes, so we want you to give this a try tonight, and we will see you back in class.